This is Meghan's source. Meghan will continue growing the brand and take it into its next chapter independently. We look forward to celebrating how she continues to bring joy to households around the world. I don't think you ever did. And we don't like them and we don't trust them because of that. She's more enamored with her Instagram grid. She's more enamored with trying to sell us jam than she was originally about, hitting the ground running and really trying to use her platform, now that she married into the royal family to do good. And we see it and we see the hypocrisy in it. Do you want to start repairing this? You gotta do a few things. You gotta have your come to Jesus moment. You gotta figure out where you're going wrong and get real with yourself. You gotta take that bath of humility, just soak in it, let it just get and seep into those pores, because that's the only thing that's gonna save you at this point. Meghan Markle, was officially dropped by Netflix. So now we all know that this $100 million supposedly, allegedly deal that her and Harold signed back in 2020 is now officially kaput. Now, she had spent the entire tail end of last year, 2025, going around saying that Netflix was her partner, that, she even told us that she was proud of Netflix because they've accomplished so much and she's just so happy and proud to have them on board with her brand. Their deal went to a first look. Toward the last part of 2025. It was all over the news that Netflix was now going to be putting her and Harry on a first look basis, meaning that they would get the first look of anything that they would decide to put out, but they could have first pass as well. I'm just gonna pull my iPad over here. So many of us grumbling and hearing about this going, okay, this is not good, this is not good. But of course she was trying to put a positive spin on it. What she was trying to tell us, especially after the 2 seasons of With Love, Meghan bombed on Netflix, was that no, that wasn't her focus. Her focus was going to be on As Ever. That's why she wasn't going to be worried about With Love, Meghan. That's why she wasn't gonna be worried about focusing on that second iteration of her podcast, The Confessions of a Female Founder. She was going to take that time and focus on her business. And of course, Netflix was a partner and that was a huge deal. And that's what she was going to do moving forward. Well, none of us believed it then. And now we have the proof. So the Daily Mail is now reporting, a few days ago, reporting that all ties with her are done. They're gone. And more than that, sources at Netflix are saying that they were not happy with her. They were not happy with this brand. Her sources are countering that narrative, but the official narratives between both of them, it does still seem like they're kind of still giving each other a congratulatory tongue bath, as if to say, oh, we're proud to have worked with one another, but, we're just parting ways, but we're doing it amicably. So they're basically saying that her flower sprinkle business, and I can't believe the Daily Mail would characterize her business as a flower sprinkle business. If that's not like a knife in the back, I don't know what is, but that's what a source, right? A business insider from Netflix has been saying, is that her brand just didn't fit and the customers had no appetite for it. And apparently Netflix was having problems trying to figure out how they could incorporate her merchandise into their brick and mortar stores. They have one in Dallas and one in Philadelphia. And I was talking about that in one of my episodes about a month or so again, when that story broke about all that inventory of the As Ever yams and shortbread and all that stuff, the sprinkles, the candles, that Netflix headquarters had all of this surplus inventory that was, jammed into these closets that Netflix executives and employees were just kind of giving away or getting kind of like as gratis free for them. And I believe Meghan's team at the time was spinning it as if to say, well, that was always the intention, that we did give a lot of excess product to Netflix and their team over at their headquarters because we wanted them to share it. And it was kind of like this ambassadorship, right? They were going to be these tastemakers sharing it. And everyone was like, really? Okay, really? This stuff's going to expire soon. Okay, it's going to expire soon. Move it, give it away for free. So Netflix was basically like, this doesn't fit with our store. It doesn't fit with our Bridgerton aesthetics. It doesn't fit with the whole, stories that we're telling with Stranger Things and all that. It didn't work. So of course, she has to clap back. Her sources are now saying that she's decided to take complete control of As Ever. And this is just months after Netflix dropped her TV show and Harry and Meghan's $100 million contract when it was downgraded. And reports have been saying for over a year, even longer, that it was never at that. That 100 million was something that they could eventually possibly get paid if things were a success. But they weren't a success. The only project with Netflix that Harry and Meghan enjoyed a measure of success with was that 6-part docuseries where they trashed and slammed their families for 6 hours straight. And that was the pound of flesh that Netflix wanted from them when they signed them in the first place. So now sources close to Meghan are now claiming that she felt Netflix was too cautious and that she's now happy to just take complete control of her jam empire. She's just going to take control, and that this partnership, was kind of holding her back, and it was holding her back from going global. And a lot of us are scratching our heads thinking, global, you're not even really a success in the US yet. You're kind of a laughing stock. These products, in my humble opinion, are not of the utmost highest quality, but yet they are supremely overpriced. Point being, like, she's trying to sell these things and build this reputation for this quiet luxury lifestyle brand, but the products aren't delivering. The products aren't even able to do what they're intended to do. You can't even take the dang thing out of the box, light it up, and have a candle. So that's my point. You're not reaching this level of phenomenal success in the US. What makes you think you can take it global? What kind of arrogance are we dealing with here? So if your stuff isn't flying off the shelves here, it's probably not going to fly off the shelves globally either. Netflix knew this, and I really do think that her arrogance does not allow her to take constructive criticism and or feedback from anybody. So I'm sure she did have people at Netflix who wanted her to succeed, who wanted her brand to succeed, because they're business people. They've got their name attached to it too. It doesn't look good for them if they make these announcements that they're partnering with her and then the brand doesn't take off. This is not working out, and it's not working out because she just will not take anyone's advice. And it's evident in the statements that she's making here. Your little sources are getting out, leaking now, saying, well, she just felt that Netflix was too cautious and wasn't allowing her to go global. Well, those are just excuses, just too little too late. First of all, we need to get over ourselves, not just Meghan. We all need to get over ourselves. When we're doing something and we think we're right, yes, it's great to have self-confidence and gumption and really believe in yourself, but you also have to have 2 feet on the ground in the sense that you have to listen to people around you, especially to people in the know who may know more than you. And we need to accept that there's always going to be someone who knows more than we do. There's always people that have walked that road before us that know things, that know what they're talking about. And you have to meet somewhere in the middle. But it really doesn't seem like this woman, Meghan Markle, has the graciousness or the grace to be able to stop and say, okay, let's take the ego out of this equation. Let's look and see what these people are saying and how can they help me. So that's the lesson I'm taking from this, is let's just stop being so damn egocentric all the time. Let's really listen. In addition to just dropping the ego and listening to people, also, what about the humility here? At what point is Meghan ever going to have a humility bath? When is she ever just gonna get in the bathtub and soak in some much needed humility? Is that ever gonna happen? Because I'm telling you, that's what needs to happen. That's the only thing for so many of us that's gonna break this cycle of egotistical pride. And it's pride. And they talk about in the Catholic Church, so many wonderful holy priests I've watched over the years when they're talking about the 7 deadly sins. Did you know that pride is the precursor to all of them? It's the precursor that led to the fall of man in the first place. Adam and Eve having the pride, feeling that they could be like God, and then they just descend into all of these sins. And pride is what probably 99.9% of the sins and the failings that we find ourselves embroiled in our lives, that's where it comes from. And I was like, someone like a Meghan Markle, I think so many of us are so angry at her in general. And I know I've been, and I've talked about this in my videos. I think so many of us are so angry with her because she was afforded such a huge global platform in which to do good, in which to really impart a sense of goodness. And it was so wasted. It was such a wasted opportunity. And she didn't appreciate the history of the institution. She didn't appreciate that, the monarchy of the last 150 years had to evolve. It had to change. It wasn't so much about the people kind of, their nose pressed up against a glass, almost worshiping these people in the way that they did before. Now that we've got all this mass media and this instant communication and all this, they had to change. They had to evolve. And that's why we've seen over the last 100 years or so, the royal family's evolution into charitable, good, philanthropic work, that they have to do something to justify their existence other than we're born to this role and we're, regal and you should respect us. And they realized that and they evolved. People like William and Catherine and Sophie and Edward that are going out there that are using the platforms as a model to do good. That's why we're so upset with this woman, because look at the opportunity that she wasted. And she came in to the role, pushing herself to us as this humanitarian, this like global leader that was her and Harry were going to take the role by the reins and they were really going to just step up and do good. But then it all just like tragically defaults into this self-serving, fame-hungry, money-seeking roles now and these personas that they find themselves in. And we don't like them and we don't trust them because of that. She's more enamored with her Instagram grid. She's more enamored with trying to sell us jam than she was originally about, hitting the ground running and really trying to use her platform, now that she married into the royal family to do good. And we see it, and we see the hypocrisy in it. So this is where we find ourselves. And don't think that for a second she doesn't even know that, because she does know that to some extent. That's why her and Harry were indulging themselves with these trips that they made in 2024 to Nigeria and Colombia. And then now I think that's what predicated this whole trip to Jordan, because it's getting louder and louder and more deafening. Like, who are these two? Why are they shoving themselves in our face? They want money, they want notoriety, they want the fame, and we're all sick of it. So that's why they're doing this Jordan thing, in my humble opinion. I unfortunately don't feel that it's about calling attention to a cause. I believe it's about furthering their platform and trying to repair an image that is shattered. And who knows if these reputations of theirs are ever going to be repaired. I don't know. But we see through her. We have to look at it as, this isn't what we should be aiming for. Yes, we should all be, wanting to make a living and having some measure of success, but has there ever been a point in her psyche when this backlash against them started really amping up? I'm just praying for her. Has there been a moment where she's gotten quiet with herself and thought, okay, this is what's been going on. This has been my part in it. I need to get out of this. I need to get out of this cycle. And what can I do to get out of the cycle? She could go off into the sunset, be quiet, never shove her face in ours again, focus on her so-called beloved family, and be fine, and probably have a very fruitful life. She's proven she doesn't want to do that. She's proven that she wants to be in our faces every single day ad nauseum, which is what she's done. She can't go a week without this new story, this new thing she's doing. Oh, this thing with her brand, this, walking a red carpet on the Paramount lot, supporting Black-owned businesses, all this kind of stuff. Like, she always has to do something. So if this is what you're going to do, then why don't you start practicing a little bit of humility? Because what needs to happen first is public atonement. Public atonement needs to happen. Just like how in our lives, when we are trying to force something and it's not working, and maybe in that forcing, we're damaging relationships or we're hurting people, that's when the course correction needs to happen. The course correction needs to happen, and that's what she needs to do. She needs to get real with the public and have an interview or have something where she talks about her failings and what she's done wrong and what she's going to do to correct what she's done wrong. But it's never any of that. All we get is, well, Netflix is trying to hold me back, and this is Meghan's source. Meghan will continue growing the brand and take it into its next chapter independently. We look forward to celebrating how she continues to bring joy to households around the world. I don't think you ever did. But if you do want to start repairing this, you gotta do a few things. You gotta have your come to Jesus moment. You gotta figure out where you're going wrong and get real with yourself. You gotta take that bath of humility, just soak in it, let it just get and seep into those pores, because that's the only thing that's going to save you at this point, because you've demonstrated that you're not going to go away quietly. So if you're going to continue to be out in the public, you got to get real with us. You got to drop the facade and you got to get real, because I'm telling you, her and Harry are on that Epstein list. And there are things grumbling around, you know, in these stories. How much did Charles know? How much did Meghan know? Like, she better course correct really quick. And if the idea of her maybe getting embroiled in this and her trying to save her butt is the impetus she needs in order to start course correcting, fine. Maybe that's what she needs to do. Maybe it'll lead to better things where she'll have a little bit of a soul conversion. But she needs to come clean with herself, with God. She needs to take that humility bath, and she needs to come clean with us. Why don't you talk about, this is what I did and this is what did not work. Do not do this. You know, you could be afforded all the privilege, all the money, all the wealth, all the platforms like she's been, and you could still fall flat on your ass. And this is what happened to me. Don't let this happen to you. Something like this. But we're still not getting it from this woman. And that's why so many of us are just like, just enough. Enough is enough. We all need to have our moments of humility, and we all need to have our moments where we can just start listening to people, especially people around us that we wronged, because what she's doing is not working.